Soundgas. This week's live is going to be from the studio as part of the behind the scenes series. Tony and Ben are going to show us what they were doing last week in a live session that they were working on for Ben Frost and the series of Dark.
We're working on some brass and woodwind parts for Ben Frost for series 3 of Dark, and what we thought we'd do was just show you some of the processes we were applying to the recordings. We had a few interesting briefs, like make it sound like a car that's being driven off a cliff and get as dirty as you like, which is what we like. So I think we're ready to.
Just check my input.
Check your input. Watch your bass bins.
Sounds great, Tony.
Okay, that's good.
What did you use? What did you choose to use?
What do we choose to use?
Why?
Can you
Yes.
can you maintain the whole this whole session in rhyme? Have you got the time to keep it in rhyme? What do we choose to use?
Scariest, darkest, most sonic moving things possible. This thing is our favourite thing. Well, one of my favourite. Because it just gives drama, like the way you can speed it up and then. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we
Very
all love that.
expressive.
And even if you don't like what you're hearing, it looks great. So that is the Cyclosonic, which is a 3D panner, and this is also in the chain, isn't it?
It's not at the moment.
It's not in the moment.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's
Okay.
the Omni phaser.
The
float,
Omni
isn't it?
phaser. It'd be nice to hear that in the chain at some point.
Yeah.
But then up here we have the magic typewriter. Highly.
It's actually a really good step. There's the car off the cliff.
So that's the Dynacord Echochord Studio, which records on a ferrous oxide coated disc. Has been modified with Vari-Speed, our super slow Vari-Speed motor. So I'm just messing with I'm playing with the speed of the drum there. Slow down.
A combination of that and this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes all the way to stop. It's also going through Soundgas Type 636.
There's a little gap and then there's more sonics coming in.
Yeah. Wait for it. Here it comes.
That's quite spooky.
It can get more spooky if we can add a bit more dirt on the let's have a bit more dirt.
peaking the FS1 at the moment.
Oh wait.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, just yet.
Do we know much about the Echo Chord Studio?
Yeah, a little. I love it. Is one of the things I know about it.
Yeah, we do know.
Made in the mid 60s in very limited numbers, maybe only 500 of them made. I think that's right. Very expensive at the time. Let me just switch it off so I can show you it. Whoa. That's the sound
That's
of.
'cause you're going through that.
Yeah, it's great. So just switch. So what's happening is as I switch it off, it's going through the 636 and you're hearing the spring reverb of the 636. So anyway, back to the Magic Typewriter. So called because I don't know where the lid's gone. There's the lid. Let me find the lid. Careful while the camera will go slightly mad as I do this. So this, that's how it looks normally. So we call it the Magic Typewriter. It has a handy little window so you can see the drums spinning. However, we like to watch what's going on. So this has been heavily modified with a vari-speed motor, and we've ended up using a Binson jockey wheel. If you look underneath the cloth, that is a ferrous oxide coated drum. So instead of a tape, it's recording on that flat surface. So we have an erase head, record head, 4 playback heads. Circuitry is germanium transistors, so it distorts and overdrives really nicely. We fitted a continuously variable, super slow, vari-speed motor. Usually it just had a standard, it would have had 2 speed positions on and off. I'll just turn the feedback down a little bit. Oh yeah, and one of the fun things, can you just feed me a little bit of signal just for a minute please, Ben?
Sure. Stay with me.
And then drop it out. Let me get this right. So watch those 2 heads there.
Can't see anything happening.
You can't see anything. Well, you weren't watching closely enough.
Oh.
Those 2 heads, the erase head and the record head, are now actually lifted clear of the drum, and what we've got is a loop. So let's try and get a better loop. So what happens is as I press the remote, the heads drop back down onto the drum. Can we have a slightly less high-pitched sound, a dark, what we were using before? Just drop me in a little bit of that,
No
please,
worries,
Ben.
Bear with me. Here it comes. Sorry, I'm just
Let's
trying
get a bit faster. Ready?
Oh wait, my bad. Oh yeah, there it is. Here it
Okay. So what you have now is a loop.
Yes.
Now I'm slowing it right down. So what makes this pretty unique is this is an analog looper. And we can get really slow. And then give a little bit more.
Make a trombone sound like a prehistoric alligator.
Is that what that sound originally was?
Well, the last time I played it was just a trombone mouse, yeah.
Wow. So let's try, so drop the heads back down. So if I drop the erase head back down first. There you go, it's erased the sound. Put the record head back down first, back down second. If we can get another. Give us a bit more. That's nice. Hang on. Yeah. So we've got that. That's now a loop. The erase head and the record. Oh, I'm not pointing. The erase head and the record head are both lifted off the disc. And now using the speed control. Spring reverb off. Spring reverb on. A bit more dirt. Slow it down. Mess with the
I love that.
So do
That
we.
reminds
So do we.
me like, it's like a helicopter
Yeah,
rotor.
Yeah, these things, before computers, these things were pretty astonishing because right, so you've put the sound back in and we've got the loop. No, that's good, don't stop it. That's really nice. That was great. So yeah, hang on. Slow the loop down.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is.
Tell me some more about this then. Where's it from?
These were made in America and Japan, I believe.
Okay.
Or they might have all been made in Japan. I'm not entirely.
Japanese, aren't they?
The Songbird's Japanese, but they made the Ditronics was American. Now I'm not entirely sure whether they were made just.
What era?
I'm not sure. 70s or early 80s. There might be 80s actually.
Okay.
So it's an analog panning device. It's called a 3D panner, and
Is it very rare?
yeah, you don't find very many of them. We've actually got one somewhere over there that's actually a double 2U double version, which we've yet to plug in, which we're quite excited about. So really still useful today for particularly for surround sound applications. It's got all these crazy patterns. So I'm just messing with the rate. You can mess with the waveform, the shape of the. So let's slow that down. So the waveform, how it. See that? That'll be more of a square wave or possibly a triangle wave. No, it's a square wave, isn't it? I'm just having a look. Yeah, it varies continually between a square wave and a sine wave. So a sine wave is a nice smooth round effect. Square wave jumps. Just give us a little bit more volume, please, Ben. Just a little. So actually, with the square wave, it's chopping between the speakers a lot more. Now you've got different patterns. So let's go back onto the sine wave. So you can reverse the direction of each channel. So they can go towards each other or go around at the same rate together. There are various different patterns. Oh, I like that. So that's Ben just. So what?
Like that racing for Star Wars, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, very, very much Skywalker sound effects here. And then you could just use it as a very simple left-right panner. But where's the fun in that? Really, you want the... I just get completely lost in this. So basically, what we spend quite a lot of our time doing when we're doing sessions like this is, you know, someone leaning over a couple of bits of gear like Ben is now.
And you play with that one.
And I've got to do this one, so we've usually got at least.
Definitely a two-man job.
Well, actually, and sometimes it's a three-man job or 5 hands.
Job for Mr. Tickle. What a riff.
That's just. So all of this, everything you're hearing right now, everything you're hearing right now is actually recorded on that. So ferrous oxide disc. Tell me about a ferrous oxide disc.
That was just what I was going to say.
That's exactly what you were about to say, wasn't it? You're going to say, Tony, tell me about a ferrous oxide disc. So, without getting too boring, although, that just flipped down of its own accord.
I might have caught to it.
Okay, doesn't matter. Instead of tape, you have basically a piece of flat tape, which actually, the original drums on
so
these.
it is tape. It's made out of the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing,
Okay.
but it's a much thicker, because obviously
Does that mean eventually it will wear out?
Yes, and this one had worn out, and that's the problem with these. Most of them wear out, and you can't get the spare discs anymore because they're only made in small supplies. But we've modified a large format floppy disk, so this is, we have actually got spares of this. Let's just try and get. Oh, there it is. It's still there. And this is one of my favourite things in the studio. This is, you know, heavily modified by our resident technical genius, Dr. Hugh. We've actually got 3 of them. This is the one that is the most advanced modifications. We are working on modifying the other one to the same level, and then we will restore the 3rd one to a similar level.
They're at the end of a very long tech queue.
They're at the end of a very long tech queue, and they represent a lot of research and development work, which we're probably never really going to get back in terms of sales because there are so few of them around. But it's just one of those things that, you know, every time Hugh did say, I could put a vari-speed on it, yeah, do it. I could make it into a looper, yeah, do it. It's pretty exceptional, and it's a unique piece. The other problem with them is they're pretty delicate, as we found when one got dropped on the car park. So we used to have 4, we've now got 3, but we needed one for spares anyway. The original carry case had a handle, and it was being taken through to the tech department, and the handle broke, depositing it at speed on the tarmac.
Wasn't that Max's first day?
Oh, I wasn't going to mention any names, but yeah, it was Max. Poor Max. But in fact, we needed a 3rd one. We needed a 4th one for spares anyway, so it was always going to be one of them was going to be sacrificed. They won't really ship. That's the problem with them. So we've got customers in America say, I want one of these, can I have it? It's like, well, no, because we can't guarantee we can ship it. So, sorry, I'll stop talking.
However, it is available to be used remotely, isn't it?
It is available well done, it's available to be used in this setup, in the Soundgas remote studio.
To ask if we ought to look at a few other things that are going on as part of the recording. Like, do we need to look at the desk? Should Ben talk us through what's happening on the desk?
Well, maybe the effects rack. So just the elephant in the room, or the Darth Vader in the room, is the beautiful EMT 251, which
the train driver's
delight. Yeah. The fat controllers.
Listen to that.
It's just absolutely magic. This is working. It's only just come into it. It's working. It's got the usual problem with the screen. The screen's had it, but it needs recapping. We started using it, and it does sound pretty good. However, it needs recapping. It doesn't sound as good as it should. We're kind of quite keen to keep that. It's a pretty unique piece. 1 in, 1 out.
What's going to be? What's it going to be replacing? We have to have a rule of 1 in, 1 out in the studio.
Do we? Oh dear, that means we've got to sell something else because I've just bought a Cooper Time Cube,
which
I'm very excited about. Okay, well, anyway, moving on. So what we're using, so in this Ben Frost sessions, quite a lot of use was made of the Denon 1/2-inch broadcast tape echo, which show people what I mean. So most tape delays are, whoops.
Oh, that's why we.
Oh yes.
It's all right, don't worry.
It's gone.
Sounds great just doing that, doesn't it?
Yeah. So most tape echoes use use 1/4-inch tape. This uses 1/2-inch tape. So there it is. You can see it all. That means you get much better quality. It is a real high quality unit and
It's clean as well.
very clean. Made for broadcast. We don't know how many of these were made. Very few, because I've never seen another. I've seen one prototype online. That was in the M1000. So I suspect these were made at the end of the tape era, just as analog delays were coming out, and then possibly early digital delays. So they probably developed it at great expense, and then found they didn't have any need for them anymore. And so they're probably most of them ended up in skips. Continuing the Japanese broadcast theme, we have the Kawasaki Electric Sound Company's reverb mixing unit, KEA 105, bought on a complete gamble. Happens to be an amazing spring reverb.
Okay, you've got a question here.
Yeah. What is recapping? Recapping. Oh, yep, recapping. So we were talking about the 251. Recapping is the capacitors in these old. A lot of this gear was probably not intended to last 50 years. A lot of it was built so it would, but capacitors with age fail, and that means they either I'm not a technician, by the way, before I continue this, before anyone goes, he doesn't know what he's talking about. My understanding is capacitors, they either go out of tolerance, so their specification changes and they don't do as good a job as they should, they get noisy, or they fail, and sometimes when they fail they can take out a lot of the circuitry. So recapping is something we do a lot of with this old gear, replacing the old capacitors, always in the power supply and sometimes in other parts of the devices.
Have we got anything open that we can see capacitors in?
No, now you're asking. You know, I've reached the extent of my technical knowledge. I don't want to come across as not knowing anything, which I don't. First to say I'm not a technician. So, what else have we got? Ben, do you want to?
Yeah.
So this is a glorious rack.
Yeah. Our other main go-to items are the Publisons, which you can see there.
Les Publisons.
Yeah, and the DHA M89, which is great for pitch shifting or digital delays, with great feedback.
Crazy device.
It can actually reverse things. It's very good. It can just sort of take a segment and then reverse that down pitched. The Publison Infernal machine, again, is functionality originally when it first came out back in the day would have been a potential sampler, but ultimately again it's about pitch shifting, delaying, and offsetting left and right, so you get some really cool spaces.
Yeah, it's a bonkers bit of kit, isn't it? I mean, it really.
It's just kind of like. I mean, now we've figured out the
hear it in action?
parameters. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So let's send this piece of audio here to.
While Ben's doing that, I'll just go down. We have the Ursa Major Space Station, another great favourite of mine. It's a multi-tap digital delay and reverberation processor. It's great early digital, got a real thing for early digital. It can be really painful because it needs a lot of work, but it has great sound. Likewise, the Lexicon 200 reverb, fantastic reverb unit, and I think we've got the Stargate going, haven't we?
Yeah.
Stargate. Yeah. That's another Ursa Major piece, another piece I've had for a very long time.
That's the Stargate.
Oh, that's that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's got quite a. Yeah.
So what's quite interesting is if you put the Stargate, which is a true reverb, so it's true to the notes, and then if you put the Infernal on top of it, which is pitching the notes,
So you're getting a pitch shifter there.
you'll get like a.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then so if we go function, what was it for? Enter pitch shifting. So then we go parameter, and we drop that down so as low as it goes. I think 250. And then you've suddenly got, but then if we select this one and then we go make that one higher, you'll get an amazing sense of space. So what was it? And that's snow on the right, it should be, yeah, it's higher, and on the left it's lower.
Yep.
And then if we go,
And you can actually automate these changes, can't you? You can get it to switch between a high and a low, or a fast and a slow.
let's go again, see what that does. Oh, so now the low voice is tripled. Yeah, we're only beginning to scratch the surface of what we could do with this.
But you feel that you're still learning about it?
Well, we're just pushing the parameters. It never ceases to not deliver. You just have fun with it. I mean, throw paint at the wall, see what sticks. But
there is a lot going on inside that. There are loads of possibilities. And we are, the booklet is somewhere around here, and it's quite, the owner's manual's long, and there's a lot to take in. So,
and who was that famously used by?
All sorts of people.
Okay.
I don't know about whether anyone famously uses the Infernal machine. Loads of people have used them.
It's used in a lot of installations.
I mean, famous users of one of these. So this is an early one of these, the stereo pitch shifting delay. It's slightly wonky, this one. The one we had in here before was a really, really pristine example, which had full overhaul. That was then sold.
Is this on service then, this one?
This one is, yeah. Amazingly, it works, which is quite lucky, really.
They're quite hard to...
Oh, they're a nightmare. They're an absolute nightmare, because Publison never release the schematics, and all the chips inside have the identifying markings scrubbed off, so you don't actually, unless you've got an idea of what you're working with, they're a nightmare. So the other one of these, if you want to hear an example of it, This Is the Place by Noel Gallagher. He bought ours, and it's all over that.
Okay. Why did they scrub the serials off the chips?
To preserve intellectual property.
Yeah, so people can look at it and go, oh, that's what they've done. I mean, these things were groundbreaking, absolutely groundbreaking.
R&D that would have gone into it as well. They wouldn't want to spend thousands and thousands.
I don't have somebody...
Just come along and just...
Yeah, there is still nothing that sounds like these things. No. Nothing else. We've got all sorts. I've been doing this for years. I've been collecting, exploring old digital, early digital and old analog gear, and there is nothing. I've got nothing. I've heard nothing that gets that close to what these do. Some of the settings on the AMS units, but these things are unique.
Okay. And Publison are still making equipment, are they?
They were up until recently. They were sort of like they're kind of the French. They French broadcast industry make equipment for the French equivalent of the BBC. But I believe they might have stopped, because that was serviced by Publison for us. But that was a few years ago now, and they're not. I don't think they're in operation anymore. I think they've closed down, and it's very sad.
Yeah, the buttons are a bit clunky on this one.
Someone's just
there you go.
Behringer would be cloning this if they didn't scrub the chips. Oh, here we go. Oh, can I get on this side? What I love is the...
Do you want me to hold the phone so you've got an extra hand?
Let's have an extra pair of hands. So if you grab it like that, that's... So this is the bandwidth, which gives you more, if I'm right in saying, gives you longer delays but lower quality.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just lovely. And then...
You're on delay on that side, actually.
Oh, I am, okay.
Yeah, so you want to be on pitch. And then you can...
This is where it's a bit
Yeah,
iffy.
and you can choose your pitch ratio and your cross points.
Get some more sound.
Of course, yeah.
Don't want to touch it. What am I on? I'm on the wrong place. Where am I? Let me have a look. Pitch ratio, pitch. Yeah, there we go. It's not in...
Again, it allows you to get very distinctive left and right.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that classic little bit up and a little bit down either side. It gives you a nice stereo width. You can use this very subtly. We tend to not be quite so subtle. Because
And you're not known for your
not known for my subtlety.
There you go, let's take Stargate out and then you can really hear what it's doing. That sounds like space.
Sounds like Star Trek sound effects. Maybe they used
And
it.
now we're back into dark territory.
Yeah. Should definitely print this actually.
Yeah, Ben might quite like this.
Well, what you did earlier in this was a nice cheeky bonus, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just send him an MP3 and tell him he wants to pay the big bucks for the WAV. I'm joking.
Soundgas studio
Extortion,
ransom.
yeah, extortion, sonic extortion.
Can we? I don't know. What time is it? How long have we been
We
going?
ought to be wrapping up soon. It's 12:45. Yes.
So, sadly, we've got to go back to work. Can't get enough time
That
playing.
sounds like it's raining. Space rain.
So we've got a loop in here. Haven't we? That's
Yeah,
what's going on.
you're on memory lapse. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's cool. That's intentional. Hang on. So it is like a sample. We are using it like a sampler here.
Sounds like 35mm film rolling.
There we go. How do you get it off the latch?
You just
These
have
buttons are a bit.
Yeah, just hit.
That's it.
What is a latch?
It's a loop.
That's
It records a
that's the
small
feedback.
loop.
That's
Feedback
there.
down.
Yeah, there it is.
Before we blow the speakers.
There it is.
Please don't blow the speakers.
No, we won't blow the speakers. If we're going to blow the speakers with anything, it'll be with the Marshall time modulator. That is the speaker blowing.
I think it is cool with the pitch shifter, isn't it? That's you're on delay.
Pitch shifter. Yeah, this is where these buttons are. There you go. Oh. Are you
How did
recording?
that happen?
Are you recording?
By
No,
pressing
no,
the
no.
pitch
That's
shifter.
I haven't got
going
any
from
channels
delay.
yet. There you go. And you've got delay on the right and
Yeah.
pitch shift on the left. Well, I'm not sure it's plugged in.
Yeah, it is.
It's winding backwards.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Oh,
That's all right.
That's it.
That's intentional.
I love that as well.
We should be recording this.
Well,
Can we do that after we've
yeah.
finished being live?
Yeah, of course. I just need to name the channels.
So, bandwidth in kilohertz, 20 kilohertz, very high bandwidth, good quality. 10, lower quality, a lot less top end, really lovely. And then 5, dark, in a very good way.
I can see that,
You can see why we spend so much time in here.
and that you'd like to spend more in here.
Of course.
Shall we thank everyone for watching
You mean I've got to get back to work?
and say bye-bye for this week. Hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes in the studio.
Yeah, let me take the... Way! There we go. It's the drunken cameraman.
Particularly the dancing camera. So So thank you very much, Ben and Tony.
You're welcome.
For that little look round, and please let us know if there's anything that you'd like to see on any future programmes, and we'll continue to do these behind the scenes Soundgas snippets for you, and hopefully you'll let us know if there is anything that you've really enjoyed that we can zoom in on for next week.
Okay. Not even sure if it's going to allow me to say good. Hang on, if I do that. So yeah, this is bye from Soundgas for this week. Back next Tuesday, assuming everything is well and everything's working. Bye from Ben, who we can just see off shot there.
Ciao.
Ciao for now. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.